everyone, and welcome to yet another installment of the RomanOva Music Interval Series. Today we will be discussing how to hear the minor sixth and the major sixth, and demystify yet another pesky musical sound. Now, if you haven't already, be sure to go back and watch my older 4 videos on this topic, as it's best to start small and then work your way to the wider intervals. So far we have covered the minor second or the emergency room chord and the major second, the root canal chord. We cover the mood swing of the music world in the minor third and the major third. These 2 intervals represent the bipolar nature of human emotion. A profound sadness within the minor third. Hear that sadness? I'm sad, I'm not glad, I can't get mad because I'm sad. An infinitely profound sadness in your life. And a profound and concerning happiness in the major third. I'm so happy, concerningly happy, unbelievably happy, frighteningly happy. I won the Mario game by getting all the coins in the arcade machine. Then I went to Taco Bell and I got some food from there. They claim not to have MSG or any mind-altering substances in it, but I don't believe them for a second. Scooby-Doo, where are you? Sunshine. The perfect fourth represents either the greatest moment of your life or the worst decision you've ever made. Here comes the bride, all dressed in white. There's no other melody here because it's a perfect fourth, not a perfect fifth. And the perfect fifth is a power chord. The tritone is the prettiest sounding interval on the planet. And today we will add to this pile of musical sonnets, and we will fill our brains with a musical perception beyond anything we're capable of even understanding. But we're going to understand it anyway, just to show that we are capable of understanding the unknown. Let's start by talking about what the sixth intervals are. The minor sixth is 8 half steps away from what the original note would be. So we must travel from C to C sharp, to D sharp, to E, to F sharp, to G, and all the way to A flat to achieve this interval. You can also get here by traveling 4 whole steps. And with that, the minor sixth interval sounds just like this. The reason why I said A flat instead of G sharp is because G sharp is a type of fifth. Check this out. C, D, E, F, G. 5. And when you sharp it, it just becomes an augmented fifth. Now A flat is a type of sixth. C, D, E, F, G, A. Flatten it and you get yourself a minor sixth. Look, 6. The letters are what dictate the function, alright? Even though G sharp and A flat are the same sound, they aren't quite right in terms of the scale degrees, alright? And that's what we're talking about here. The letters equate to function. Let's take more time to appreciate this minor sixth interval. It's a little dark, admittedly. It kind of makes me feel uneasy, like it wants to resolve itself but can't. It isn't quite distinguished as being able to stand on its own, like a third, for example. So the irony here lies in the fact that even though the minor sixth can't stand by its own, or it doesn't stand easily on its own, it sounds like it's suspended in time, the inverse of the minor sixth is a major third, which we know to be basically the bedrock of Western music. So, very important interval, and has stood alone many times without feeling any kind of tension whatsoever. The minor sixth is very tense, and the major third, not so tense. Alright, so if you go down, you get the same exact note, the A flat. Now here, not all hope is lost. We can go and resolve to a perfect fifth from a minor sixth. Check it out, ready? Minor sixth, down to a perfect fifth. You hear that nice resolution? It actually sounds final when you get to the fifth. And it feels almost as if a great weight has been lifted off our shoulders. Check it out again. Minor 6, down the 5th, 6, 5th. Great sound. Just like my other videos, I will stress that it's extremely advantageous to think of familiar melodies that use these intervals. One of the most prominent examples of the minor sixth is The Entertainer by ragtime pianist Scott Joplin. Without this interval, we wouldn't have one of the most prolific ragtime songs to ever exist. The next example goes back to the early days of heavy metal. Let's see if you can recognize it. Now, although there are many intervals that make this up, one of the most impactful intervals is the minor sixth, which occurs on the fifth note of the sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's the minor sixth in Crazy Train. It really is the first moment of tension that we arrive at within the song. Now, it's only 5 notes in, but it's the most impactful note of the entire sequence, and it really gives that feeling of being suspended in time and space, or better yet, suspended off the cliff wall on a train that went off the rails. Now, luckily, it went off the rails and it stopped at the cliff wall, but it's teetering on the edge, all right? Teetering on the edge, as you're teetering on the edge of sanity in your seat, because you can't believe that this is happening to you. Now, if we didn't have the minor sixth, it would sound like this. That just sounds stupid, so don't play it like that. It also sounds like disco, and it also sounds like the train has been perfectly maintained and everybody's happy and smiling and going down into the sunset. We don't want that. We want a crazy train going off the rails because, let's face it, we've lost our minds. And Ozzy Osbourne clearly lost his mind in the early 80s. So we have to reminisce on that feeling by playing this interval, all right? The minor sixth interval. Now, sometimes when we're playing melodies and we're ear training, we need to play incomplete versions of said melodies, okay? So in this case, Crazy Train, Crazy Brain, right? Because we're stopping it short. You hear that? Keep it there. The final example of the minor sixth is for any silly billies that only listen to rap music and refuse to listen to anything else. That's right, it's Lose Yourself by Eminem, prominently featured in the movie 8 Mile. The first interval is a perfect fifth. The second interval is the minor sixth, and that is the interval that we are going to train our ears to hear. So you kind of have to stop Eminem's Lose Yourself on the second chord to hear the minor sixth. Like I said before, we need to do incomplete melodies, or maybe even change it up entirely, but that's what's going on there. And when you're first learning guitar, you're actually going to come across these intervals quite a lot. Any beginner can learn how to play this song, by the way. You're going to hit up to the minor sixth, and you're never going to let it go. Next up on the agenda is the major sixth interval. To reach this, we will have to travel 9 half steps. So from C, we have to go to C sharp, D, D sharp, E, to F, F sharp, G, G sharp, and finally to A. Here is the major sixth together, and here it is separate. This is a much more consonant sounding interval. Check it out. Right? So much so that it could stand on its own within very popular and common chords, right? This is a C6 chord. It's basically a C major chord with an added 6, all right? Now, admittedly, it's kind of the sound of vaudeville, all right? Let's move it up. F. So this sound can be heard pretty much in any music prior to 1960, all right? Like I said, vaudeville, there's a lot of kind of jazzy, ragtimey elements to it. Very old-timey feeling, old-timey Americana. And that's the feeling of the major 6 chord. And like I said, a standalone chord perfectly substitutable for a regular major chord, and that's why it's way more standalone than the minor 6 would be. To extend off of that idea, let's explore some classic 1950s boogie-woogie that uses a very familiar pattern, starting with Johnny B. Good by Chuck Berry.
Way back up in the woods among the evergreens, there stood a long...
Then moving to Good Golly Miss Molly by Little Richard.
Good golly, Miss Molly, should've liked the ball.
This is a ubiquitous sound in classic rock and roll. It's very reminiscent of Greased Lightning, right? Go Greased Lightning, go Greased Lightning. Kind of like the Beach Boys, Chuck Berry, Little Richard, all that good stuff, right? Good golly, Miss Molly, no, no, no. Right? Just all that classic boogie-woogie rock and roll that we all love. And we don't want to admit it to ourselves, but we do. We all love that stuff. Now this goes from the perfect fifth, or the power chord, up to the major 6. Alright, we play that slowly. We get a little lazy horse gallop, almost like we're in the middle of the western coast of the United States, on a donkey or a mule that won't move fast. Little drunk, a drunken mule, that's what we're gonna call it. And that's exactly what we're doing. And we better find some water quickly because we've been drinking way too much out in the desert. Shouldn't be doing that, but that's the sound of the perfect fifth to the major 6, right? Also reminds me of Happy Birthday. Happy birthday to you. But that's a little too complicated for this video, okay? And I don't want to sing Happy Birthday and have it be incomplete like everything else so far. Conversely, this is the major version of the Eminem song that we just looked over prior. The next example may be irrelevant and completely unfamiliar to those in Generation Z or Generation Alpha, and really only applies to those who grew up watching cable TV. And that is the sound of NBC. That little chime for NBC is known by old fogey millennials, Gen Xers, and boomers alike. But not all hope is lost for the younger generations. Contrary to popular belief, you can become familiar with something that you haven't grown up with. Alright? I'm showing you that this is NBC. You can go on YouTube and you can look up the NBC chime or the NBC jingle, and you're going to find it all over the place. Trust me, we're capable of taking in new information, even if it's old. And that brings me to another point here, the concept of relevance. I think people are a little too obsessed with the idea of being relevant. This obsession with relevance quickly makes you irrelevant. I hate to burst your bubble, but anything that's popular today will be completely irrelevant within probably 10 years, or maybe even with the information age, a few hours. Yes, that's how crazy things have become. And this little tidbit of information that I'm giving you will probably be irrelevant within a matter of seconds, so watch out for that. The final example of the major 6 comes from a holiday classic that at this point I'm not sure is irrelevant or not, but in my mind it will always be relevant, and here it is. That's right, the first 2 notes to the verse of Jingle Bells uses the major 6 interval and helps encapsulate the most joyous of joyful sounds as you're barreling through a triple diamond ski slope in nothing but a pair of overalls and tennis shoes. This is yet another example of a song that has to be cut comically short in order to perform the ear-training task of hearing the major 6th. Dashing through the snow, dashing jingle bells, we hear jingle bells and Santa Claus is coming down the chimney. What a weird guy for breaking into your house in the middle of the night, not to steal anything but to give you treasure. And this is the whole thing, everybody. We're not going to go anywhere beyond, because I'm not going to tell you where we're dashing. We're not dashing through anything because we're just dashing through the major 6th. No snow, no fun, no Christmas cheer, just dashing on a major 6, because that's all we have room for, and that's what our existence has been boiled down to at this current moment. Okay, now let's get on to the quiz. First, we will review the sound of the minor sixth and major sixth as a quick refresher. Here is the minor sixth. Think The Entertainer, Crazy Train, and Lose Yourself. And here is the major sixth. Think 1950s Boogie Woogie, the NBC Chime, and Jingle Bells. Okay, got those in your head? I will play you 6 different intervals, either a minor sixth or major sixth. I will play it 2 times with the notes separated and 2 times with the notes together. Here we go. Dashing through the snow in D, that is a major sixth. This one we have a minor sixth. Number 3 is Suspended in Space and Time, minor sixth. Number 4, Nice and Consonant, it's a major sixth. I'm getting serious ragtime vibes from this one. Minor sixth. Number 6 is a major 6, and it's the 6th number that we are doing in this quiz. Alright everybody, thanks a lot for watching. Hopefully this has been helpful and entertaining, at least a little bit. Please stick around for the next episode and installment, which is going to be the minor and major sevenths. And I might even keep going beyond the octave as well, because we have more intervals beyond that. And I'll certainly do more stuff with intervals and ear training, maybe some more quizzes, right? Taking you through the entire spectrum of intervals from small to wide, seconds to sevenths to octaves to everything in between. We're going to wind up doing it here on RomanOva Music, and please subscribe to the channel, comment on some videos, and do whatever you want. Alright? I will see you around on the next video. Peace.